Darth, Theorist, rise. What if Yoda gave Anakin Skywalker a Padawan after Ahsoka left? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. From his spot atop one of the many balconies in the Jedi Temple, Yoda watches as Ahsoka departs the steps for the final time. Guilt washes over him as he disappears down the steps. Though many in the Council might make excuses about what happened, he understands the truth. Everything that happened there was not some test in the Force. The Jedi Council was careless and complacent. They allowed their belief in the Republic, and more importantly, their belief in their own infallibility to dictate their actions. And because of that, another nearly paid the price for it. Now the Jedi have lost one of their most promising Padawans and alienated their best general. His gaze slowly turns from Ahsoka's disappearing form to Anakin, who stands by the stairs. Closing his eyes, he considers what all of this might mean, and more importantly, how he can make things right. Slowly, he reaches for his datapad and begins to review some old reports, including one of Padawans whose masters were killed in recent battles. For the next few days, the air in the Jedi Temple hangs heavy as the full story of the temple bombing unfolds. The news takes everyone off guard that a fellow Jedi would be responsible for such a thing, much less Barriss. At the same time, those Jedi who hear of this discuss it in hushed tones. It wasn't just a tragedy, but also a grave humiliation for the Jedi Council, who discourage anyone from speaking about it. Soon, whispers of what happened fall silent, thanks to the silent intimidation of the Jedi Council. Anakin welcomes this as he remains in his chambers, meditating and trying to clear his head. He still struggles to make sense of the fact that Ahsoka is no longer there. Sometimes he walks down the halls and still expects to see her, only to remember halfway that she is gone. All he can do afterwards is head back to his room and try to clear his head. He is happy to do that until he is sent back to the front lines. But this time he hears a signal on his transmitter, summoning him to the gardens. Groaning, Anakin wants to ignore it, but then sees that the message is from Master Yoda, and he realizes that there is no way he can run away from that call. So instead he gets up and rubs his eyes and prepares himself. By the time he arrives, he finds Yoda seated under one of the few trees. At his side is a Nautolan boy. He is about Ahsoka's age, but he shifts with uncertainty, which gives him a less experienced look.
Apologies for the delay, Master Yoda.
No apologies necessary, Skywalker. Introduce you to young Zag, I will. Slain his master was, in my Gito.
My condolences, young one. Thank you, Master Skywalker.
Promising young Zag is. Close to taking the trials the boy is, but in need of training he is. Wish for you to finish his master's work, I do.
Me? Now? Right after what happened to Ahsoka? I can't, Master Yoda.
Difficult for you, I understand. But train the next generation you must, Skywalker. A task for all Jedi, that is.
I was training the next generation, Master. Ahsoka was one of the best and brightest, and yet the Council still didn't think she was above deception. Didn't trust her enough to have some faith in her.
Know this, I do. Difficult it is to ask this of you. Perhaps the only way to move forward it is.
By making me take a new apprentice? To act like I didn't just lose Ahsoka? Is that moving forward?
To help you move past your grief. Unhealthy it is to remain here.
I'm happy to return to the front if you need me.
Return to the front and distract yourself you will. Hide from the problem and not confront it you will. To truly heal from Ahsoka, you must move forward. Take the boy. Become a teacher you must. Not for the Jedi, but for yourself.
Master Skywalker, I understand the grief you are going through. I was familiar with Padawan Tano. She was always an inspiration to many of us. To see her gone is a tragedy, but I will aspire to live up to the standards she set.
Hearing this, Anakin softens slightly. He sees the earnestness in the boy's eyes, the desire to prove himself. While he has his doubts, and the boy doesn't quite look like a warrior, he is willing to give him a chance. At last, he says he will take the boy. Yoda and Zag both smile as they head out. Anakin has a few more days before he is scheduled to head back to the front. He uses that time to assess the boy and determine his ability. He tests the boy in his lightsaber abilities and mastery of the Force. Although he tries to be objective, he cannot help but compare him to Ahsoka. He still ends up with nothing as his form is less certain, and his reaction is slower than his former Padawan. He has never had the same intensive training she got under him. His Force powers, while respectable, also do not stack up. Where Zag does prove to be better in his strategic ability, he understands all of the standard operating tactics of the Republic, and yet Anakin worries whether he is too by the book. One thing that becomes clear is, unlike Ahsoka, Zag still has faith in the Jedi Council, even more so than Anakin.
You believe in them? even after the situation that happened with the temple bombing. I know you must feel quite angry, and to tell you the truth, I'm quite shook up by it. I knew Barris too, but I can't really bring myself to hate her. To tell you the truth, I don't blame her. You don't? Even after all the chaos she's caused? She was caught up in madness, a war, and Barris was a gentle soul. She never liked fighting. I think she would have been happier healing. She might have just snapped. I don't think it's really anyone's fault, save the separatists who are making us fight this war. I think the Council might deserve some blame for it. They allowed her to reach that point without doing anything. Her master should have reported any signs sooner. Maybe. But the Jedi Council is only 12, and there are thousands of us here. I suppose they couldn't keep track of everything happening, and she hid things so well.
Anakin would want to argue and say more, to call out the Jedi further, but decides that is a conversation for another time. Instead, he focuses on the upcoming battles ahead. That comes sooner than later, as there are reports of conflicts on Kothis 4, and Anakin is soon deployed with the 501st. Zag goes with him, eager to prove himself. Soon, Republic gunships roar over the rocky ridges of Kothis 4, their engines shaking the ground as they descend through bursts of anti-air fire. Inside, Anakin stands near the open hatch, lightsaber in hand, his expression hard. Zag stands beside him, taking a few deep breaths to steady himself. Although a veteran of several battles now, he still struggles to get used to the war. He calms himself by poring over a holomap flickering between blue and red lines.
Master Skywalker, if we hit their flank first, we could cut off their supply route and force them into a choke point near the Eastern Canyon. Or we can take the direct route, break their lines before they know what hit them. That's riskier. The Separatists will expect a head-on assault. They'll expect me. That's the difference.
Before Zag can protest, the gunship lurches, doors sliding open. Blaster bolts streak through the sky as the clones begin rappelling down. Anakin leaps first, landing in the middle of a Separatist trench and igniting his lightsaber in a blur of blue light. Droids fall one after another as he charges forward, motion fluid, relentless. Zag stumbles through the muck, his lightsaber strokes blocking the strikes and taking out droids. He keeps close to Anakin, who effortlessly advances through the ranks. He throws a shockwave that sends the droids reeling from the attack. Clones follow after, and though they are prepared for an assault, the aggression of the attack takes them off guard, and they begin to give way. The one strong point is atop a ridge, where a droid gun emplacement keeps the Republic pinned. Anakin makes his way over and curses as it takes out some of their walkers, slowly grounding their attack to a halt. Zag follows. His movements are more defensive, more careful than Ahsoka's ever were. When Anakin dives headlong into another group, Zag stays back, directing clone squads with hand signals and crisp orders.
Master, if we place some charges at the base of the ridge, the explosions might disable the guns. Good thinking, my young apprentice.
Zag quickly directs a squad of clones carrying heavy weapons. Rex personally leads these men who place charges on the hill that send a fissure crackling upward, and a miniature earthquake sends droids tumbling off while the turrets mount losses, its footing, and slam into the ground. With that, the clones advance. Anakin rushes ahead, but Zag stays behind, seeing that the clones' formation is not yet fully formed after the recent attacks, so he begins to redirect them, leaving Anakin outnumbered. A super battle droid's arm cannon catches him off guard, sending him sliding across the dirt. He springs back up, irritation flushing across his face.
Zag, less thinking, more fighting. With respect, Master, we're overextending ourselves.
Cursing, Anakin has to break off the assault and allow the droids to retreat as the clones reorganize. The battle rages on until the ridge falls silent. Smoking wrecks and shattered droids litter the field. Anakin deactivates his saber and turns sharply toward his Padawan.
You hesitated. Ahsoka would have been at my side the first step. I'm not Ahsoka, Master. My way worked. We took the ridge in the end. And it also gave the droids time to prepare. In battle, every second counts.
Anakin's jaw tightens. He wants to argue, but before he can, Rex walks up, helmet tucked under his arm. He suggests that Zag help Jesse review their next battle plan. Eager for an excuse to be out of there, he heads out, leaving the two alone. Once he's gone, Rex shakes his head.
General, the kid's right. Different style, sure, but he got results. He's still too cautious. We didn't get this far by hesitating. Sir, a lot of clones have served in the 501st. They might look the same, but we're not. You taught Ahsoka her way. You played to his strengths, and that helped us. Maybe you just need to find Zag's.
That catches Anakin off guard. He exhales slowly, eyes flickering toward Zag, who's now checking the wounded. The boy's focus isn't on glory, it's on order, knowledge. Later, as the sun sets behind the burning ridge, Anakin finds him sitting beside the campfire, still reviewing holomaps. Anakin sits down next to him. He admits that his strategy worked, and he adapted quickly by disabling the gun emplacement, but his mind works faster than his body. Zag colors and admits that he's always had a hard time entering the battlefield. Anakin nods, sympathetic for a change, and promises to take that into consideration. The two of them continue to train. Anakin integrates mental exercises and strategy games. These focus on adapting to changes on the spot. It soon becomes clear that Zag has some form of Shatterpoint, and Anakin tests it out. He sets up blind games where he can set out soldiers or leave obstacles for the young Jedi to overcome. He never tells Zag about them, but when they do come up, he can adapt with surprising speed. While his combat skills remain lacking and require constant effort, he still proves himself to be more than a worthy Jedi regarding his ability. Rather than just throwing him into combat, Anakin instead has him focus his efforts on making the most of his Shatterpoint abilities. He allows Zag some independence, letting him make decisions on his own, but he must command and dictate the flow of the battlefield. For the first time, Anakin feels the tension in his chest ease. Maybe Rex is right. In the ensuing battles, Anakin opts to instead keep Zag in the front with him. He is in charge of secondary, or serves forces where he is in command and directs them as necessary. It is in these situations that he must cut his teeth as a soldier and begin to see more success, because he isn't just following someone else, but developing the plan based on his instincts. It is a situation quite different than that of Ahsoka, but one that proves just as effective. With his new student, the 501st begins their new assault across the Outer Rim, and enjoys more success than ever. The two of them make a great team, and he watches his student's growth with pride, for the first time remembering the joys of teaching a Padawan. While Anakin can never truly forget Ahsoka, he can still watch Zag without guilt. It doesn't hurt that their efforts are yielding fruit, as the Republic forces continue to gain ground in the war. The CIS is steadily pushed back and forced to retreat all the way to the Outer Rim. Many analysts, including Zag, predict that the war may be over within a few months. One person who knows that is Palpatine, and is already planning his takeover once the dust settles. The only thing that remains is to figure out what shall become of Anakin after the war. He is proving to be the most valuable piece he has, and if he can be turned into the dark side, he will be a great ally. For years, he has worked to corrupt the Chosen One and turned him against the Jedi. So far, this plan has yielded success as he grows more and more distant. Now that the war approaches its conclusion, it is time to nip that lingering thread. And as he observes the young Padawan by his side, he already has an idea. He sends the Jedi Council information, directing them to some of the most intense battlefields in the front. These are places like Magito and Atrakan. Here, these are grinding wars of attrition where Zag's talents are less effective. Even if he finds places that can affect the battlefield, it is far more difficult to actually take advantage of opportunities, especially with his limited combat skills. While Anakin still relies heavily on his abilities, the Jedi Council does not see it that way. They see it as Anakin neglecting a crucial aspect of the boy's training, as he doesn't do enough to hone his skills.
It appears that young Zag's fighting abilities remain lacking. I would have hoped Skywalker of all people would be able to toughen him up. He was never one to shy away from throwing someone into the heart of combat.
Patience, Masters. Anakin has always been unorthodox, but he's always delivered. There is no reason to believe that this will be any different.
Indeed. Trust young Skywalker, I do. Brave he is, and proven. A teacher he is. Lead this boy to greatness, he will.
It is not his capabilities as a teacher that I am questioning. It is what he is teaching the boy that concerns me. Skywalker has never been one to stay out of trouble or follow the Jedi Code. We do not require another radical like Barriss Offee.
Except Anakin never trained Barriss. The fault hardly lies with him.
Indeed. Wait and see, we must. See what shall become of these two.
When the time finally comes for Zag to take his trials, the 501st watches. The test is no simple one, an elaborate simulation drawn from dozens of the hardest campaigns in the war, yet Zag completes it with calm precision. The battles are unpredictable, but he reacts quickly. His blade work, though not the most graceful, is deliberate and focused. His strategies are showing creativity that many commanders lack. Even the droids in the trial chamber cannot keep up with him for long. When the results come in, Anakin smiles for the first time in days.
You did it. You've earned this. You're a knight now.
Thank you, Master. I couldn't have done it without you.
Jedi Master Skywalker. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
They return to the temple soon after, where the council convenes to formally review his trials. Anakin stands proudly beside his Padawan as Zag kneels before the circle of masters. Yoda nods approvingly, while Obi-Wan smiles faintly from across the chamber.
Padawan Zag, you have passed your trials. The council recognizes your achievements and your service to the Republic. You will be granted the rank of Jedi Knight. Your council appreciates your efforts, Skywalker. However, we do not grant you the rank of Master. It would not be fair to grant you the rank of Master over 3 months of training.
But Master Windu, Master Skywalker has trained Ahsoka as a newly made Padawan. She was one of our best. Many agree she was on the cusp of becoming a Jedi Knight. Surely that must count for something.
That is true. No one disputes her capabilities. However, given the situation, we believe there is further observation necessary to ensure the consistency and effectiveness of Skywalker's training.
Further observations? After everything I've done? Everything we've done?
Your record is commendable, but also concerning. You have grown powerful, but power alone does not make one wise.
For a moment, Anakin looks ready to argue, but Obi-Wan meets his eyes and gives a subtle shake of the head. Yoda looks displeased. Neither one clearly liked this idea and was amongst those who voted against it. But it appears that even that was not enough. Anakin bows stiffly and says nothing more. He turns sharply, leaving the chamber with Zag trailing behind him. Later, on the temple balcony, Zag stands beside him as Coruscant's sunset glows in the distance.
I'm sorry, Master. It should have been your day too.
It's not your fault. It's theirs. They'll never see past what they fear.
Still, it feels wrong. The code is supposed to be fair.
Fairness isn't part of the code, kid. You'll learn that soon enough.
Weeks later, the war flares again. The Republic's push into the Mid-Rim stalls at Ringo Vinda. The 501st is called to reinforce the siege. The fighting is brutal, wave after wave of droids holding the corridors while clone troopers fight room to room, sometimes in zero gravity. During one of the assaults, a single blaster bolt from a clone's rifle changes everything. Fives and Tup are stationed near the front. When Tup suddenly turns his weapon on a Jedi general, no one reacts in time. The bolt pierces the Jedi's chest plate before anyone can stop him. Silence follows. The clone looks as shocked as anyone. But there is no time to plan as their offensive falls apart and they are forced to retreat. Zag kneels beside the fallen clone, placing a hand over his forehead. His breath catches as he touches the Force. He feels a shatter point, a fracture spreading far beyond the battlefield. Something buried, sinister, waiting beneath the surface. After the battle, Zag reports his findings to the Council via holo. The response is underwhelming. The Council is concerned, but they dare not risk the ire of looking at it further, instead leaving it up to the Kaminoans to handle that. They advise him to focus on the front, not chasing accusations in the wind. The transmission ends. Zag stares at the blank hologram, jaw trembling with frustration. Anakin places a hand on his shoulder, yet it doesn't help. For all of his life, he has trusted the Jedi Council. He followed them and believed they were a force for good in the galaxy, but recent events are starting to make him question that. They are powerful to be sure, but they fall for the same trappings of bureaucracy as anyone else. However, for the time being, he remains silent and does not act. He does confide in Anakin, who promises him he will keep his eyes open. But more importantly, Fives decides to act and begins researching this matter more thoroughly. He is not bound by Jedi oversight and sees the danger this poses and accompanies Tup to Kamino. It is there that he learns about the inhibitor chips that were meant to control the clones, and he believes there is more to it. He creates enough noise that he secures a meeting with the Chancellor, and Shakti personally escorts him there. At long last, the Jedi understands the seriousness of the situation, but they forbid Anakin and Zag from taking part, as they are deemed too close to the situation to remain impartial. This news stings, and neither hides their frustration. Anakin barely stops Zag from getting involved, but things soon grow worse, as during the meeting, Palpatine reportedly comes under attack by Fives. When Anakin hears about this, there is no stopping him from hurrying into the Chancellor's office. There, Palpatine recounts his versions of events. He says that the clone seemed to have lost his mind. He became erratic during their meeting and tried to attack the Chancellor when he questioned what he saw. Anakin eats all this up, but Zag narrows his eyes and appears suspicious. When he locks eyes with the Chancellor, there is doubt, and he hurries after Anakin.
Something isn't adding up. I don't think the Chancellor Palpatine is telling us everything.
What are you talking about, Zag? He's been one of our closest allies.
Call it instinct, Master, but there is something more to it than he's letting on. I think he might know something about this. How sure are we of what he's saying? Fives is one of the best troopers in the Legion. He wouldn't just break like that.
You don't know that for certain, Zag. Fives has been through a lot. There's no telling what state he could be in.
You're starting to sound like the Council, questioning the person before we even know the full story.
Anakin gives him a sharp look, but says nothing. As much as he hates to admit it, he raises a fair point with that. The two of them sprint off in search of the wayward ARC trooper. The clone soon appears in the industrial center of the city, leading the Jedi down there. But when they arrive alongside Rex to confront him, they find Fives frantic and on the very edge of hysteria. They recover Fives' datapad, where he keeps notes. While the Coruscant guard clears out, they at last demand these documents, though the Jedi refuse. Zag is not willing to hand over this evidence when they are so close, and he can practically feel them on the verge of something. Fox is quite insistent, but Anakin steps between them. He reminds the clone commander that he just lost one of his men, and isn't in the mood to argue about this. The clone gets the message and backs down, but promises to report this. Soon enough, the two receive a stern rebuke from the Jedi, warning them to halt their involvement, but this only heightens Zag's suspicion.
He mentions that the Jedi aren't involved in this, so why would he report this to the Jedi Order? The proper chain of command would dictate that he reports it to Palpatine.
You're right, but it also means we're on the right track if this is any indication.
The two decide not to return to the Jedi Temple, instead heading deeper into the lower districts, where they review Fives' information. They see the claims that there are supposedly command codes buried inside each of these inhibitor chips, things that will order them to do things with the right orders. Of course, there is no proof, but it is easy enough to obtain an inhibitor chip from a dead clone in the morgue. From there, they begin their tests in a private laboratory, and there they see it, a list of all contingency orders within the clone inhibitor chips. The Chancellor's office is quiet when Anakin and Zag enter, yet the air feels charged as they step in between them. Palpatine turns from the window, his hands clasped behind his back, expression serene.
Ah, my friends. I had hoped you would come sooner.
You've been busy.
You know why we're here, Chancellor. We found something in the clone's inhibitor chips. Contingency orders. Hundreds of them. And one that's classified under your authority. Order 66. All of these can be activated by the Chancellor. Care to explain?
You've done well, Knight Zag. Exceptional initiative. Though I wonder why the Jedi Council would keep you on such a short leash. You've seen their blindness firsthand, haven't you? Their fear of you, of your master, of your progress. They call it peace, but it is stagnant.
Enough. You're trying to turn us against them.
Am I? Or have they already done that themselves? Tell me, Skywalker, how many times have they denied you what you earned? How many times have they shunned your loyalty and doubted your heart?
Anakin hesitates, anger flickering in his eyes. Zag senses it, but he also senses something deeper, something off. The rhythm of Palpatine's words feels too deliberate, too perfect, a trap woven with truth. Zag ignites his lightsaber and steps forward.
You're the Sith Lord that everyone's been hunting.
Lightning bursts from his hands. Anakin raises his blade to block, the explosion hurtling Zag backwards across the room. The walls crack, glass shatters, alarms shriek. Anakin leaps up and slashes at him, but Palpatine meets him with impossible speed, red plasma screaming into existence as he meets his blows. Anakin hammers him with these attacks, and Palpatine counters with finesse, turning each blow before pushing his lightsaber down onto the ground, sending sparks everywhere. He then kicks Anakin and sends him skidding across the ground. Meanwhile, Zag rushes from the side and tries to attack. The Jedi rains down attacks on him, using every ounce of training Anakin's given him. Yet Palpatine's power is without limit, and he finds himself hard-pressed and shoved back. He actually seems to be toying with him before the Chancellor unleashes a wave of Force energy. Anakin charges, fury blazing, but Palpatine catches him mid-swing and sends another blast of lightning straight into his chest. Anakin staggers, teeth clenched, deflecting the arcs, yet the lightning does not affect him as much, and he leaps up.
Open your eyes, boy. The Jedi are going to lose this war. Do you intend to die with them?
Zag recovers, pushing through the pain, and yet his mind is also racing, processing his words. The strategist in him studies it as he tries to defend against these strikes. For the first time, he sees it clearly, the mistakes of the Jedi and how they had played right into the Chancellor's hands. He realizes this just as Palpatine's lightsaber flashes against him, pressing him. Zag falters, the logic gnawing at him. He sees it clearly now, the perfect symmetry of Palpatine's design, the inevitability of the Order's collapse. His mind races through 100 scenarios, each ending in the Jedi's downfall.
Don't listen to him.
Oh, but he is listening, isn't he? He sees it. You both do. The galaxy doesn't need the Jedi. It needs order.
As he says that, anger flashes in Anakin. While Zag reacts with logic, Anakin is guided by passion, and he rushes forward. For a moment, his anger overcomes him, and he roars out, sweeping his lightsaber. Palpatine catches and absorbs the strike. He counters with another flurry of attacks that forces Anakin to yield ground. Then, his hand darts toward his communicator, and a command code flashes across the holoscreen. Order 66. Activate. Across the stars, the voices of thousands of clones echo the same words. Zag gasps, clutching his head as a wave of death ripples through the Force. Shock, confusion, betrayal. With that distraction, Palpatine lunges, crimson blade aimed straight for Zag's heart. Anakin moves faster. His saber intercepts the strike, blue locking against red. Their faces are inches apart. With a roar, he twists, driving Palpatine back. Lightning crackles as their blades blur, blue and red flashing like storms in the dark. Zag joins in, the two of them pressing harder and supporting Anakin. Their movements perfectly aligned, instinct and strategy entwined. Palpatine fights savagely, but he's overmatched now. Anakin's strength pounds against him. Zag's precision finds every gap. The Sith Lord stumbles, brought to his knees. He plunges his blade forward. Palpatine screams as the energy cuts through his heart, leaving him falling to the ground.
It's done.
Zag looks toward the shattered window, the sky burning as he sees the gunships proceeding toward the Jedi Temple.
No, it's just the beginning.
He closes his eyes and sees flashes through the Force. Jedi dying, clone troopers turning, temples burning, and deeper still, in Palpatine's fading mind, he glimpses the rule of two, master and apprentice, forever replacing one another. He glances at Anakin and can see he's the same thing.
I hate to admit it, but he's right. The Jedi were too blind. You helped me see that.
They are. If we didn't stop him, Palpatine would have destroyed them. And if not him, someone else. Unless what? Let Order 66 continue. Let the Jedi fall. Then we'll rebuild what's left. Stronger, wiser, and under our control.
Zag stares at him for a long moment. The words are poison, yet they ring with truth. The Jedi failed. The Republic was corrupt. What would be lost if the Jedi were decimated? They had thousands of members, and yet they could not weed out a handful of Sith.
There are two of us. Got any plans to make this rule of two more efficient?
Zag smiles. They understand the Sith. It's deception, betrayal, and greed. But that won't be how they run things. No, they will work together to rebuild the galaxy. They allow Order 66 to carry on for another day before at last sending the kill codes. By then, the Jedi lost most of their members, including most of the Jedi Council. This leaves them badly weakened and in disarray. Only then do they reveal the inhibitor chips to the public. They paint it as an effort to take over the Republic and destroy anyone who can stand in his way. Both the Republic and Jedi buy this claim. With the recent chaos, there is little they can do except focus on rebuilding. To them, Anakin and Zag are the heroes who saved the Republic. But in secret, the two begin to study the records left behind by Palpatine, to begin understanding the Sith more and more. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.